Molweni, and welcome to it right here on Cape Town TV. You are, of course, watching Conversations with Africa Unite, the show from Africa to Africans. I am your host, Lelethu Intombi, and you will be seeing more of this pretty face every single week because every week we'll be bringing you some of the most important topics right here on your screens. We are discussing all things migrations, the lowdown on all the xenophobic attacks to the discrimination that is faced by migrants in South Africa. Now, please do not forget to join in on our conversations on social media. Of course, on Twitter, we are AfricaUnite_ZA, and on Instagram, we are official_AfricaUnite. On Facebook, we are just Africa Unite. Now, you will know that each and every single week in the past few weeks, we have been discussing a lot on xenophobia, all the terminologies that have to do with migration. But we haven't really focused on the migrant women that come into South Africa. And I feel like that is a very important topic because we rarely actually look into migration as well as xenophobia in the lens of women. We're always looking at it in the lens of men. Now, on today's show, we have my favorite woman in the world. Her name is Mrs. Tolu George. She will be helping us unpack this topic today because she works with a movement called Tusimame Wanawake. It is a migrant woman movement group, and she'll be assisting us in telling us some of the stories that she encounters while she works with these women. So, Mama Tolu, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lelethu, for having me on your wonderful show.
Thank you, thank you. Now, please tell us, I find this name very intriguing, the name Tusimame Wanawake. What does that even mean? What language is it?
Tusimame Wanawake is a Swahili word. It actually means stand up woman.
Stand up woman.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of like an instruction, kind of like a command actually, telling women to stop taking the back seat, to stop sitting behind, to actually stand up for themselves. So it's kind of like a motivation, kind of like a command to the women. Stop sitting down, stop backing out, stand up.
So that was specifically directed to migrant women. Now, please, give me some background as to how the group started. Because the name is very, like you said, it's very commanding, it's very catchy, but what was the main reason that you started the group? And what did you have in mind when you say stand up woman, or when you said stand up woman?
Well, the group actually started last year. And what happened was a couple of women came together and we decided that, look, trouble comes for all African migrant women. It doesn't matter if you're from Rwanda, if you're from Burundi, if you're from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, true.
You know, being a migrant in South Africa, it doesn't identify you by your nation. It identifies you by the fact that you are not South African. So we came together and we decided that, look, we all face common issues. And if you stand on your own as a Nigerian woman making noise in one corner of the world, or even in your village meetings or something, it won't attract as much attention as if we all come together and identify the fact that we all have common challenges and try to tackle our challenges together as a unit, not as different fragments. Of different units.
So it's a group of women then, of African migrant women.
African migrant
who decided
women.
to come together.
Yes.
So what exactly do you do together? So what do you work on? What do you stand up for? What do you exactly do as the group?
For example, one of the things that we do is we try to, one of our missions, is to give voice to the challenges of the African migrant woman. Specifically the African migrant woman, because many times she's a secondary migrant.
Yes.
And many times she, back up in Africa, we tend to let men take the lead. So we kind of like not many women take responsibility for certain things that are very important to them. And because they don't know how to take responsibility, they tend to get into a lot of bigger challenges, which could easily have been avoided if they had just basic information.
Yeah.
But they just leave it, oh, my husband will take care of it.
Yeah.
Oh, my uncle will take care of it. My father will take care of it. But sometimes you have to take care of it yourself, not just for yourself, but for your children. So that's the reason why we said we want to give voice. We also want to focus attention on policies which may, which kind of like may have slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
People don't know the impact of some of the government policies, which were well intended.
Yeah.
But you don't know the impact on that on everyday women. And because nobody is focusing attention on those particular challenges, the fallout of those challenges, it becomes difficult to find ways to modify those challenges and to modify our response to those challenges. So that's part of the things we do, try to like focus attention on what we face, also to try and solve problems. We are like, the whole world is full of problems, but the migrant women experience a lot of problems.
Yeah, no, I like what you said about the migrant woman being a secondary sort of victim. Do you think that migrant women then are sort of like the forgotten victims?
Yes.
In South Africa specifically, and why would you say you think that?
I would say that the migrant woman is the forgotten and discriminated woman. And many people don't even know the level of discrimination that the migrant women face. I'll give you a typical example. Many women are, they're in a common law relationship with a man. They came here because maybe their boyfriend brought them, their father brought them, their husband brought them, and then their husband got here. And then he ran off with another woman. Now she's stuck with the woman, with the children.
Yeah.
Now she can't get documentation on her own because her documentation is tied. She's accompanying someone. And because she's accompanying this man, maybe there's been some friction in the relationship. He can use it as some kind of like violence, leverage against her for control. So she can't even leave the country because the migrant woman is not allowed to leave without a letter from the father, which I know is trying to like curb human trafficking. But on the other hand, she's trapped.
Yeah.
I'll give you a typical example. There's a lady who is one of the people in the network, and she's from Cameroon. Now, she had a child with a man. I don't know if it's South African or a man of a different national. And the man has vanished. She's been looking after the child.
Yeah.
And now things have gone bad. She's lost her job. She wants to go back home, but she can't go back home because she can't take her child with, because she's not allowed to.
Thank you so much, Mama Tolu. That was so interesting. Please hold those thoughts because I think you've touched on a lot of very important things. Now we'll go quickly to the break. And after the break, please don't go away. After the break, we're discussing some of the challenges that are faced by migrant women. But Mama Tolu is also going to be helping us delve into some of the programs that they have as part of Tusimame to help curb these challenges. Please do not forget to join in on our social media conversations. Remember, we are on Instagram, we are official_Africa Unite. On Twitter, we are Africa_Unite_ZA. And on Facebook, we are Africa Unite. See you after the break. Welcome back to the show. You are still watching Conversations with Africa Unite, the show from Africa to Africans. Now, if you have just joined us, today we are discussing a very, very important issue, which is the issue of the challenges of migrant women in South Africa. And if you were not here as part of the first segment, we spoke to Mama Tolu about, some of the challenges, including the issues of documentations, issues of gender-based violence, as well as other issues that migrant women continue to face in South Africa. Now, Mama Tolu, please tell us and I know you've laid down foundations in the first segment, but what are the most common challenges that migrant women face when they come into South Africa?
Well, I will give you the top 4 problems that they have.
Yeah.
And the first one, of course, is documentation.
Yes.
And the problem with documentation is if you are not properly documented, you will always run into trouble. You will be afoul of the law.
Yeah.
You will always be in trouble with the South African government.
Yeah.
But many people, they don't even understand because some of them they don't even speak English at all when they come in. So they are relying on a third party to teach them or to show them what to do.
Which is usually maybe their
Yes.
husband.
Yes. Or even, like
Someone
I tell
they
people
don't
that
know.
you won't believe that a lot of people have paid a lot of money to become illegal because they tell them, oh, there's someone somewhere who can help you.
With your
He wants
papers.
10,000 rands for you. People have been charged up to 100,000 rands. Yes.
Wow.
For them to try to be legal. And then they get a piece of paper and they feel at peace, but sometimes they find out that those papers
fake.
are fake, they're problematic, they don't make any sense, they don't make... So documentation is a very big problem. And also because of the changing policies, many people don't know how to navigate the changes in those policies.
Because they're not aware as well. And I
Yeah.
usually say this, that one of the flaws of the South African legal system when it comes to migration is that people don't get orientation when they come into the
Yes.
country. So you don't understand any laws, you don't understand any of the languages. And I know some countries like Holland, for instance, you get an orientation when you get into the country. So you are able to understand some of the most basic laws that apply to you as a migrant. So then you would say the second one is that, the issue of not being aware.
Yes, the issue of not being aware at all. So what we've tried to do is, because we are fairly new and we're still trying to grow, we've tried to like navigate, create situations. I'll give you a typical example. There was a lady in our first meeting, our first workshop, who was from Rwanda, and she was pregnant. She was heavily pregnant at the first event we ever had last year, April. And she hadn't been to antenatal. And she was like about 6 months gone into her pregnancy. And we noticed, why are you here? And she was like, oh, I don't have, my refugee paper expired because of COVID. She didn't understand how to do the online thing. And now they've changed it back from the online thing to something else. So we just told her that, look, you can walk into any hospital and they will help you. And they will attend to you. And she actually
She didn't know about
She
that.
didn't know.
So
then
and there's the issue then of fear as well, that
Fear.
because I don't have papers, so I
Yes.
can't really go.
Precisely.
Okay.
So we were able to tell her that, look, we were able to tell her, you can go into a hospital, you can get medical care. But we've also partnered with some people or some other NGOs within the metropolis, who also, when they have issues surrounding migration and documentation, we refer them. But we're also looking to open an office, and we're starting a program very soon, in the next few weeks, where people can go and they get like kind of like a mini orientation.
Yes.
But we're starting it small because we're fairly new.
Oh, great.
The second thing that that is a big problem is gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And I was actually at the Femicide and the Gender-Based Violence Summit last year.
Oh, great.
In which they had a national strategic plan in which they were discussing, gender-based violence and femicide within South Africa. And the migrant women were actually part of the strategic plan. But I'm sure I was hearing about it for the first time at that summit. And luckily we're able to address the president and the ministers that, look, these are the problems we face.
Yeah.
When a migrant woman is assaulted, she's afraid to go and report to the police because, first of all, maybe she's not sure of the documentation she has. So she's afraid that she'll be arrested, which the police minister said he would do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
The police
true.
minister said, if you are raped, we will arrest you first. Because the rapist doesn't ask if you're documented before he rapes you.
So a huge part of it then is political, because then you
Yes.
get ministers and political people politicizing the whole migration issue
Yes.
and sort of making these comments and these remarks on media.
Yes.
And then you get this woman or this migrants or maybe refugees being scared.
Yes.
To even go out, to even go to hospital, to even
Yes.
go to the police.
To report. So what we've done is we've partnered with the Tutuzela centers because they said that when you come, nobody asks you any questions. They don't
Yeah.
ask you for documentation. They treat your case as a case.
Okay.
They are not home
they don't
affairs
check
looking.
if you are
they
a
don't.
refugee.
No. They treat you. So we've partnered with them.
Okay.
You understand? And also we went on a GBV workshop in which we trained about 12 migrant women on how to deal with gender-based violence issues.
Wow.
And the thing is, we have to teach women that, look, gender-based violence, you can't take it for granted, because many times at that summit, the Minister for Women Affairs was saying that many of the women in correctional services serving life sentences are there because they were reacting in gender-based violence.
So it's not them perpetrating, it's
not,
them
yes,
being
it's
defensive.
some of them being
Self-defense,
it's
yeah.
self-defense. So what happens is, if the migrant man or whoever is allowed to go scot-free because no one has reported, there's no paper trail surrounding his behavior, the next thing, he's heading towards a South African girl soon. So we have to nip it in the bud. So we have to do some advocacy along those lines.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mama Tolu. Please hold those thoughts once again. We have to take a quick break. But please don't forget to join in on our conversations on our social media pages. Like I said, on our Instagram, we are official_Africa Unite. And on Facebook, we are just Africa Unite. On Twitter, we are Africa_Unite_ZA. We will still be having Mama Tolu here in studio discussing this very, very important issue. Please, please, please don't go away. Thank you. Welcome back to the show. You are, of course, still watching Conversations with Africa Unite with me, Lelethu Intombi Mxhosa. Now, remember, we are still unpacking some of the struggles that migrant women face while they live in South Africa. But because you know on the show, we like also showcasing some of the work that migrants are doing in contributing the South African economy as well as society in general. And for the story of the week today, we visit Bridget Mianda, who is the owner of the 10,000 Things Fashion Boutique. Now, please have a look at our story.
My name is Bridget Mianda Mpotola Jemwa, the creative director of 10,000 Things Fashion Boutique and the CEO of Mama Bees Joint. From 2010, that's when I realized the love of fashion and the African print love. So because I was working in the Africa Cafe, where downstairs, it's a restaurant, but downstairs we had a little tiny shop which sold a lot of African craft. So when I looked at that, I was very, very happy because, I mean, we have a lot of fabrics in Zambia, where I come from. So when I looked at the way they sell the things, I was like, okay, let me try and do one or two things about the clothing industry.
Wow, what an inspiring story by Bridget. And I'm actually dressed by her every single week. As you can see, I'm always looking pretty. But right back to the business of today, we still have Mama Tolu right here in studio. Don't forget to join in on the conversations. We are on Instagram. We are Africa Unite, official_Africa Unite on Instagram. On Twitter, we are Africa_Unite_ZA. And on Facebook, we are Africa Unite. Mama Tolu, we have been having such a long discussion. Now, I need us to wrap it up. You were still talking about some of the challenges that are faced by migrant women. Now, I know you are from Nigeria, but please walk me through some of the challenges that you personally faced when you came into South Africa and how you managed to overcome all of that. Because we see you here, you're very inspirational, strong woman, but we want to know what is the story behind you and how you got to South Africa.
Well, I'm married to a pastor.
Oh,
we've been married for almost 28 years.
Wow.
And at some point, he felt that he wanted to come and do missionary work in South Africa. And back in Nigeria, I had my career, I had a business. You know, in Nigeria, we like to hustle.
Yes, yes.
I had my side hustle and my day job. And we were doing quite well. We were comfortable, we had our family. And then he said he wanted to come to South Africa. And, I resisted it a bit, but I decided that no, because we have a happy marriage. I like being married to him. And I didn't want, I don't believe in a long distance marriage. You understand? So I said, okay, let me support you on this. So we packed up with our 3 children and we rocked up in Johannesburg at OR Tambo. Wow. And we we lived in Johannesburg in Veltevreden Park for about maybe 11 months. Now, that takes me to the last two challenges that I was talking about before we went on break.
Yes.
The last two challenges are things that I personally faced. And those included the attack on my mental health.
Yeah.
Because it was such a culture shock for me. I thought it would be like in England where you could go and you'd find a little job and support yourself. But here I was, I had left my country where I had a good career with government and I had a business that was earning me a decent amount of money. And I was willing to do very little work. And nobody would even give me the work to do. You know, I was told I needed a work permit to do something as basic as anything. You know, and that was for me that in a way I had some kind of...
and it is connected to the documentation as well.
Not even really the documentation, because I was accompanying my spouse.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and the intricacies of dissociating myself to get a work permit was just so much of a hassle. So it was a really, really, because first of all, that sense of self-worth, that what in the world am I doing here? Why? So it brings this negative color and everything. And it took me a very long time to overcome that negativity. And immediately I overcame that negativity, then I was able to
stand up
for myself. And we noticed that has been the story with many people, because some of those people you see who can't speak English, they were actually maybe engineers. They were lawyers back in their country.
As well.
So you see some of those car guards and people like that, and they're all asking, why did I come here? Yeah,
I think mental health is also a huge aspect of it as well, especially considering some of the challenges and stories you've shared already about, you know, some of the women actually having to depend on someone. That's already an attack on your mental health because, you know, you don't have any sort of self-worth.
So you have to overcome that negativity for you to be able to absorb into the society. You can't see the South African society as an enemy. You have to go past yourself and go past whatever you think you are experiencing. And to address that, like I said, we're starting a program, a peer support program, in the next couple of weeks, in which we're going to be taking women through a 10-week workshop where we address each and every one of these things and try to bring the women to a point where they can overcome the negativity and set goals and actually achieve those goals, no matter how small.
So now for people who are sitting at home asking themselves, how do I get in touch with this group? I want to also stand up. I want to also overcome. How do they get in touch with you? How do they get involved in your programs?
Well, you can reach us. You can come to... We operate out of the Africa Unite offices for now, number 6 Spin Street. That's in a town, Cape Town. Just close to Parliament, on the 4th floor. You will find us there. And also you can send us an email at tusimami, www@africaunite.org.za.
Thank you so much, Mama Tolu, for joining us. You know me and you can go on and on and on.
Yes.
But thank you so much. You've heard Mama Tolu that if you want to get in touch with their organization, you can email them or join them at their offices right here in Cape Town, number 6 Spin Street at Idasa Building. Now, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We have been unpacking some of the struggles that are faced by migrant women while living in South Africa. And this is going to be a continuous series because next week we again look into these challenges, but more in depth, and we'll be bringing some of the experts and the people working directly with migrant women in the country to assist them while trying to navigate their way in the South African communities. Please do not forget to join in on our social media conversations. As I've said, on our Instagram, we are official Africa_Unite, and on our Twitter we are Africa_Unite_ZA, and on Facebook we are just Africa Unite. Thank you so much, and please do not forget to join me next week as we have another great journey. Bye.